Hey everybody, it's Angie Atkinson, and today at queenbeing.com we will be discussing smear campaigns and narcissists. Are you ready? Let's do it. Okay, so like I said, my name is Angie Atkinson. I'm a certified life coach, author, and a survivor. You can learn more about narcissistic abuse recovery at queenbeing.com. Check out booksangieWrote.com for books on narcissism and related subjects, and narcissismsupportcoach.com for personalized narcissistic abuse recovery coaching, as well as a free 5-day fear busting e course that I designed specifically for narcissistic abuse survivors. Let's get right to it. So, you found yourself under fire again, the victim of yet another apparent smear campaign, courtesy of a toxic narcissist, of course. The everyday average person can't imagine what it's like to experience a smear campaign at the hands of someone they love, and that's because, in general, people who love you would never consider such behavior toward you. But narcissists are different. They are far more likely to engage in manipulative behavior, and for one simple reason. They will literally do anything to get what they want, and that includes maliciously lying or spreading rumors or exaggerations about you. So, what is a smear campaign exactly? Well, let's discuss that. If you look up smear campaign in the dictionary, you find that the political version of the term matches up quite nicely with the narcissistic one, and it reads a deliberate attack on somebody, spreading an untrue and unpleasant rumor about them, or making an accusation intended to damage their reputation. Quite simply, that's what a narcissist does when he feels threatened or otherwise concerned that he might lose his narcissistic supply. And contrary to popular belief, a narcissist who also stoops to the level of creating a smear campaign is not crying out for help. Rather, he or she is crying out for attention and, in many cases, for a new source of supply. A lot of narcissists use sob stories like, this person has treated me so poorly, poor me, feel sorry for me, as part of their love bombing and or hoovering tactics when they're hooking in a new victim or trying to rehook you once you manage to get away. You can learn more about those terms, love bombing and hoovering, at my YouTube channel or directly at queenbeing.com. So, why do narcissists run smear campaigns? Well, let's talk about the neurological components, shall we? As someone who isn't a toxic narcissist, this stuff probably won't make a lot of sense to you unless you educate yourself about it a little bit. You might find yourself feeling shocked or even confused by the smear campaign because it's really not normal behavior. The fact is that unless you're intentionally educating yourself about toxic narcissism and narcissistic personality disorder and the way the minds of these people work, you really can't understand the way it goes. That's because it doesn't work the same way that a quote unquote normal person's mind would work. Because most people are able to feel empathy for others in their lives and they'd never want to hurt someone they love. It would hurt them in some way to do that. But narcissists can't see it that way and they don't see others as people on the same level as them. So, to put it bluntly, you are not a person to a narcissist, at least not the same kind of person, the same type of level of person that a narcissist feels he is, if that makes any sense. And that's because, according to Robert Hare, PhD, their information, including their emotional information, is scattered all over both brain hemispheres. So it takes too long for their brains to retrieve and process information, and the entire process of socialization becomes so ponderous that ultimately it fails. So, living with a narcissist puts you in a very tough spot. You sort of forego the simple pleasures in life. And rather than taking those fun strolls down memory lane and laughing together like normal people, you might find yourself feeling like you're literally sleeping with the enemy, like the movie. It's like that very stuff that makes life worth living becomes so forbidden to you that you don't even recognize it anymore. And when you do watch people in healthy relationships have normal, healthy interaction with their loved ones, pardon that typo, everybody, the pain can become even more intense. But as always, you smile and you die a little bit inside, bit by bit each time, as your voice gets silenced. Each time you are blamed and shamed for reacting to your narcissist's emotional and verbal abuse. Sadly, this behavior is entirely normal for toxic narcissists. That's because people, well, these are the type of people that psychologists group with the cluster B personality disorders. And these types are known to pathologically lie, gaslight, and run smear campaigns on their victims. While the narcissist is capable of understanding that causing social harm, damage, and general invalidation of your fundamental human rights is wrong, it does not stop him or her. And they also continue with lying and manipulating people and trying to gaslight them while they know it's morally wrong. That's the difference between a narcissist who is toxic and a regular, quote unquote, normal person. But though they recognize the moral wrongness of it all, they equally show no concern about it as they actively work to recruit flying monkeys, people who, wittingly or not, do the narcissist's bidding. So, what does a smear campaign look like exactly? Well, for example, a narcissist might run a smear campaign on a friend or even a spouse by making up rumors and stories about their target's mental health or lack thereof. This way, when or if the victims try to speak out or get help or even support with the abuse, the victim's credibility is undermined in advance. It's a very common tactic. The narcissist will point out that the victim is behaving exactly as he or she predicted and will use the victim's natural response to the outrageous smear campaign, not to mention the emotional abuse, against him or her. Worse, a narcissist actually sort of gets off on this kind of stuff. The idea of getting away with something gives them something to feel excited about. They have absolutely no ability to empathize with anyone else, and they only show feelings of remorse if it becomes necessary to do so, as in if they get caught. And the victim spirals through the pain and the emotional torment of being publicly humiliated and experiencing the deepest depths of shame, betrayal, and general invalidation. The narcissist doesn't feel any sadness, of course, not any remorse. Rather, he finds himself, or she finds herself, feeling physically, emotionally, and psychologically pleasured. The narcissist will project whatever image might suit his or her needs at the moment onto the target, and they'll use that type of image and that type of perception to self-stroke their own ego. It's a lot like emotional masturbation, in which they accomplish it by manipulating other people's relationships, and creating situations in which they can triangulate people, whether they're friendships or family relationships. It doesn't matter. Then narcissists will lie about one source of supply to the other, and this makes the narcissist feel very powerful, at least for a moment, while someone commiserates with them about the pain. Of course, these days, the easiest and most effective way to covertly bully a victim is through social media. Now, this might begin subtly at first, as in sharing, quote unquote pointed memes or quotes, poor me type shit. Or it might be more overt, as in directly calling out the victims on social media. So, you know, directly screaming out the narcissistic injury that they're dealing with. This usually involves like a perceived offense in which the target stands up for him or herself and is rewarded, like I said, with a big old case of narcissistic injury. It's great stuff, y'all. And even harder to swallow is the fact that narcissists will often claim to be victims of their own kinds of abuse. And then they play the injured party their torment, while they secretly torment the targets behind the scenes, behind closed doors. And when a kind hearted person takes pity on the poor injured narcissist, as they inevitably do, the narcissist feels validated and immediately understands that they found a new potential target, or at least a new flying monkey. What that all comes down to is that since narcissists are virtually incapable of normal human emotional behavior, they must manufacture joy and happiness by taking a rather sadistic pleasure in being the predatory creatures that they are. So, even if they're directly confronted with actual facts that invalidate their lies, narcissists will continue to hold on to those lies. And worse, the longer the smear campaign continues, the more committed the narcissist becomes, and the more outrageously he will behave, or she. So, how can you deal with a narcissist who is actively smear campaigning you? Well, honestly, while exposing the narcissist to the people in his life or her life may help some of them to get a clue and stop allowing themselves to be the narcissistic supply, this will only temporarily slow down the narcissist. In fact, it'll give him or her the proper fuel they need to get their next supply on the line, the quote unquote very own savior type situation. Because of course, in the narcissist version of the story, you will just be a crazy bitch who was mean and hateful to him or her, and who tried to make the family and the friends hate him or her. You feel me? It's a cycle. It's not worth it, and it's only going to serve to make you miserable. So if you're still dealing with this narcissist or any narcissist, you can try this tip. If you're stuck with one because you're co parenting, or because it's your boss or your mother in law that you can't let go of because you can't go no contact for whatever reason, the best response is to use the rock method, in which you don't react at all. It's not the least painful response, it's not the most effective response, but in that situation, is the only thing you can really do other than continuing with the madness. Eventually, if you don't react, you aren't giving them the supply they want and you will stop the behavior. But the best solution to deal with smear campaigns in general is this: you've got to let go. If the best and the only situation, the only solution to dealing with this type of person and remaining and if you have any hope of becoming happy in your life, is to take back your power and choose to create the life you really want. And that is with or without the narcissist, and in most cases, most likely without. Going no contact or low contact is statistically the most successful way to do it, and the only sure thing kind of answer you can find. So, what do you think? Have you ever been the target of a smear campaign? How'd you handle it? I want you to take a moment, if you can, and share your thoughts and your experiences in the comments below, and let's talk about it. You never know who sharing your story might help. Until next time, my name is Angie Atkinson, and if you need additional information about narcissism or narcissistic abuse recovery, please visit queenbeing.com. If you would like to take that free 5-day e-course I mentioned, it's an email course, it's 15 minutes a day, change your life kind of deal, visit narcissismsupportcoach.com. If you would like to purchase any of my books, which are all under $5, visit booksangieWrote.com. And a new note, if you visit narcissismsupportcoach.com, click around and take a moment, maybe contact me to set up a coaching session. All right? So have a great week. Talk to you soon.